I'm preparing for an NRL hunter match in Utah, and John Snodgrass of Loophole, he's my spirit guide for this one. You're definitely going to want to tune in for this.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
This episode is brought to you by Ruger, Ruger.com, Timney Triggers, TimneyTriggers.com, and Range Ready Studios, RangeReadyStudios.com.
All right, welcome in Gun Talk Hunters. I'm your host KJ, and today on the podcast we've got Mr. John Snodgrass out of Loophole. How you doing, dude?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, because we're out here at K&M Shooting Complex in Finger, Tennessee, and that's not a joke. They are actually located outside the town of Finger, Tennessee, which is kind of weird to say. Oh, come on. You've thought about it. Don't lie.
No, you can't say it hasn't crossed my mind.
You can't. Like, it's just a weird name for a town. Who walks... Okay, we got to settle this. How did they come up with the name Finger, Tennessee? Because... first people who come into this town. John, what do you think we should call this thing? Oh, man, I don't know.
Well, obviously it was the guy who was the explosive guy for the coal mine. Otherwise, it would have been Fingers, Tennessee.
Oh, he walks out like this. And number one, Tennessee was already taken. So, okay, Finger it is.
Finger.
Any opposed? No, nay. No. So why are we here? I think that's the more important thing, because when I was approached about this media event, it was, we're going to do a 2-part media event, which takes time. But it's so unique, and I don't know, was this your brainchild or
It definitely was not my brain. I'm not sure whose brainchild it is, but what it's doing for us. So what we're out here doing is we're going to do a train up for you guys, and the goal is to get all the media personalities out to do an NRL hunter match. Yeah. Basically taking the information that you're going to learn here on basic fundamentals of marksmanship, and how do we take that basic fundamentals of marksmanship, apply that to this competition that revolves around hunting scenarios as close as we can make them to a real hunting situation, in order to show how you can become a more efficient, more efficient and more confident hunter through this competition, right? Yeah. It's an opportunity that you can shoot almost all year long instead of just 1 or 2 shots during hunting season. Yeah. It's going to put you in situations where you're under stress via time or trying to find targets. So it really brings in a lot of what you're going to go through in a hunting situation, gives you a chance to practice it, and then apply some things that you may not know or may not have experienced on really how to shoot more refined into that hunting situation.
So I looked into NRL Hunter. And if you're not familiar with it, go look at it. You're going to become addicted probably pretty quick. And when I started looking at videos of it, because you've shot PRS matches, you've shot some NRL hunter matches too.
Yep.
The one thing that I most worry about is locating targets, because they're small targets. They're not these like real large targets.
Yep.
From what I see, they're small coyotes, small, groundhogs, little diamonds, little circles, type stuff.
Yeah, they're not necessarily representative of the actual size of the animals, but they're at distances where the size that they put them is going to be about the size of a kill shot on that animal at those kind of distances, right?
Dude, that is small.
So honestly, being able to find the targets is about 75% of these matches. And for people who may not be familiar with it, in the scenario that the NRL hunter runs under, they put you on a time hack where if you're shooting as an individual, you have 4 minutes to move from a blind location to your firing point on the stage. In that 4 minutes, you have to make the movement. You have to locate the targets that you're going to be shooting at, get your range, get your dope, and then build your positions, and then engage and try and hit the targets. So, 4 minutes sounds like a lot. There's jokes in there that we won't go into about how long 4 minutes really is, or how disappointed someone may be.
Enough time to snuggle.
Right, exactly. But it goes by fast. But that's the scenario they're going to put you in. So the time and the having to find the targets puts you under that stress factor also.
Man, I think that's the one thing that I'm worried about is like identifying targets, because what I saw on some of the videos I watched, like when you look at the targets, you're like, they're just gray targets because they've been shot up. You know, they're used. They don't repaint after every person goes through, so you don't have that advantage. Maybe if you're the first one to go through on that target, maybe you might get a slight advantage, but they're all shot up. They're gray. Like, that's my biggest worry.
Yeah, but they are in natural terrain, right? So when you put it into the real context of it, though, it is just like a hunting situation, right? Like, I mean, the animals aren't, in most cases, they're not standing out there, right, where you're going to be able to see them easy, right? So trying to find the targets in the natural terrain, you know, the difficulty that comes with that is very similar to a situation when you're out there hunting in the field, right? You got to find it before you can shoot it.
So you find it. So I walk through these, like I try to mentally walk through stages and what I need to prepare for and what I need to be thinking about. There's all the fundamentals of marksmanship, which we were going through the safety brief, and one of the things that was said was fundamentals first, fundamentals last, fundamentals always. And then Shannon K, owner-operator of K&M, said that, and I was like, man, that's right. On everything you do, it's just right. Like lining it up to the target, once you find it, you're using the fundamentals all the way through breaking that shot.
Yeah, you know, it's in rushing a shot in the environment we're going to be in the competition, and learning from it is way better than rushing a shot in the field and having catastrophic outcome. Right. So
and I just can't get over it. What I can't get over is like the identification, because one target is going to be by a placard and one is blind, correct?
Yeah, so to give you a breakdown on how the stages are going to run, they'll have it set up, and it's the same at every match. So there's no differentiation as far as the engagement scenarios you'll be in. You'll either have a situation where you have one target that you have to find and engage, but you're going to shoot at it from 4 different positions.
Okay.
You'll have 2 targets that you have to engage from 2 different positions.
Right.
Or 4 targets that you engage from 1 position. So you're always going to have 4 engagements, and then you basically can shoot at them twice. If you shoot at it, hit it on your first shot, you get 2 points, the target's neutralized, you move on.
Okay.
If you miss your first shot, you shoot at it one more time. If you hit it, you get 1 point. If you miss it, that animal got away, you move to your next target.
And they don't move.
Well,
there are mover targets, right?
In some matches, they do have mover stages, so that adds another element.
I'm going to cross the static chart, like targets first. Like, let's just start there. So when you're looking at these type of situations and hunting situations especially, and I've been using the Sanium glass for years right now, and I absolutely love it. For this event and for the match, we're going to be using the new range-finding binos.
Right.
The BX4s.
Correct.
Is that right? Talk a little bit about those and like their usefulness, because I see a lot of value of them in the field, but for like an NRL hunter match or even, you know, a PRS match, whatever you're shooting, they're critical. I mean, as far as like unknown distances, like you can't get any better.
Not only that, but it's also the efficiency, right? So you have 4 minutes to get it done. So the more efficient you can be, the better off you're going to be. The range-finding bino, whether it's ours or another brand with ballistics in them, that just gives you an opportunity to be more efficient, right? So a lot of us have our handheld rangefinder, monocular, and we go out there. So you've got a pair of binos and you've got your rangefinder, and if you have to locate it with your binos and then go to your rangefinder, you're just losing time. So an integrated binocular and rangefinder, it gives you just a time efficiency standard that's going to be helpful no matter what, because it's you're locating the target, you're getting instant range, and if you got the right bino, you're getting a ballistic solution also, so you don't have to take time figuring those things out.
Okay.
So with the BX4 range that we're going to be using, as far as the glass level, you mentioned the Sanyams. So that's like our BX5, so that's our top of the line. Right. The BX4 series, that's kind of like our Pro Guide binocular that's been around forever. We just updated it to a new model. Okay. So the BX4 range is as far as the glass, the resolution, the contrast, the low light performance, it's going to be the same as our Pro Guide HD binoculars, with the added component of having a built-in laser rangefinder. So nice. And they also have our TBRW ballistics in them. So it's not a fully customized ballistic system. Ours gives you 25 ballistic groups you can choose from. So we're going to go over that tomorrow and Thursday on how to set the bino up for your rifle, and it'll give you really, really good, minute of animal ballistics out to about 800 yards.
Really?
Yep.
That's nice. That's really nice. And then the scopes that we're using are the newly launched Mark IVs.
Yep. So the Mark IV HD, that's a new family we launched at SHOT Show this year in January. So in the Leupold heritage, they had the Mark IV line, which has been kind of the standard for a military sniper style scope since the late 80s.
Yeah.
So over 30 years, we've had a lot of advancements in materials and lens coatings, technology as far as machining and being able to hold tolerances. So this was our opportunity to take that high performance that we had with the old Mark IV scopes, update them to something new, and then provide the consumer with like the most versatile, probably cost-effective front focal plane rifle scope that's available right now.
It's incredible what you guys have been able to do with your glass, and what I'm more impressed with is the weight savings that you typically have started integrating, because scopes of old, I mean, man, even when they were Leupold or pick your manufacturer, they were just, the broader the magnification, man, you just got so heavy, and it was just, it's taxing, because you start thinking about your weight savings, and especially now, it's all about weight savings, and I can imagine in an NRL match, like an NRL hunter, like we're hiking over terrain. We don't get driven to a spot. Is that correct?
Correct.
Like we're all on foot. We're doing stuff ourselves.
Yep. You're going to have to have everything you're going to use for the match. You're going to have to carry with you. It has to be stowed in a backpack, and you have to make those traverses from stage to stage and the entire match on foot.
Yeah. And then you start thinking about weight, and it's like, how can you save weight? Well, and that's one thing that I like about the BX4 rangefinder binos is they're pretty lightweight. I mean, they're lighter weight than like if you had a regular 10x42 and a rangefinder. Right. And then you're having to add to your bino harness, and then you got to add a spot for your rangefinder, and then you probably want one for your Kestrel. And now, like you say, you got all this bulk right up here, and it's probably makes you a little bit more inefficient building a position.
Yep.
Okay. See, I'm getting all this down. I'm getting my mind right.
Well, and when we talk about the weight component, especially with optics, when you mentioned the higher zoom scopes or higher magnification scopes, right? So the more zoom you put into a system, the more magnification you put into it. Generally speaking, the more lenses you have to install, because you're trying to get that high zoom range and keep it as compact as possible. And when you do that, especially when you're stretching the light with those really high zooms, and when I say stretching the light, everything works on angles when we're talking about light moving through a scope and refracting off the lenses. So every time you have a lens, you can create aberrations, whether that's the light separating and causing what we call chromatic aberration. You see the colors around, right? So we use lens coatings, and then also sometimes you have to add more lenses.
Okay.
So the more lenses, the more weight. That's the nice thing with the Mark IV HD. It's only a 4x zoom erector system. Right. So by keeping it a 4x zoom, we're able to not only keep costs down, which we can pass on to the consumer, but we're also able to keep that weight down, because glass really is probably the heaviest component of a rifle scope.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine. Especially so are these 3 to 18 or?
So what we're going to be using is our 6 to 24s.
Oh jeez.
Yes, the Mark IV 6 to 24 HDs, and those again, it's a 4x zoom, so 6 power up to 24 power. There are 34 millimeter main tubes, so you have a lot of travel. They're coming in right around 27 ounces. And so again, going back to the weight component, that is something that the NRL Hunter does, is they have weight classes.
Right.
Where at some of the events that are out there, some of the PRS matches, like guys are running really, really heavy rifles with really small, low recoiling calibers, which not necessarily the best for taking animals in the field. So the NRL Hunter set it up where there's a law in Idaho, of all things, where a hunting rifle can't weigh more than 16 pounds for big game animals.
No way.
I don't know why that law exists.
Really?
I have some inklings as to why it exists.
Interesting.
So the heavy class in NRL Hunter, your rifle, as you're going to use it, with everything attached to it except for a magazine full of ammo, has to weigh less than 16 pounds.
No kidding.
So that's rifle, bipods, rifle scope, everything full up. And they have a light class, which is 12 pounds or less.
Which that's what we're shooting.
That's what we're shooting. Well, we're actually shooting the factory class.
Okay, so the open.
Yep. So there's open heavy, which is 16 pounds, and you can do whatever you want to the gun.
That's nuts.
There's open light, which is 12 pounds maximum, and you can do whatever you want to the gun. And then factory is you have to shoot a factory off-the-shelf rifle.
Okay.
And all up, it has to weigh less than 12 pounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is, because it opens it up to the guy who wants to come out and use their hunting rifle.
And use their hunting rifle. And I think that's what's cool about the whole NRL thing, is it's putting you in those hunting situations. Like you said, like you only have like every season, like you may only have 1 or 2 trigger presses a year, and this will allow you to build your skills in the field and target identification, and you work on building positions, time restraints.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how else you would replicate, besides like going and running a half a mile real quick and then jumping down and going to engage in a target and then doing it again. Like, I don't know any other thing that would really replicate that besides competition.
Yeah.
I just went on to Ruger's website, Ruger.com, and I found what I believe is going to be my next Predator gun. I'm talking about the 4-legged kind. So I'm going to go with a 204 American Gen 2 in 204 Ruger. Why? Because that is one of the most dynamic Predator cartridges out there, with professionally applied Cerakote coating and the Generation 2 American stock, which allows for length of pull and comb height adjustments, so you can fit small shooters too. These guns are just dead accurate. That's what I've noticed on all of these things. We have one in 223 that I absolutely love, but a 204, what that's going to do for me is, man, makes really tiny holes and they go really, really fast. So speed kills in the Predator game. So anyway, give them a check. Man, they look fantastic. Hey, why haven't we gotten one of these in? I'm talking to the wrong people apparently. So check them out, Ruger American Gen 2 in 204, the Predator model, absolutely fantastic. And Timney triggers. All right, I've talked a little bit about Timney triggers over the past, several years, however long we've been doing this. And they're really easy to put in. That's probably why I like them so much, because I can do it. I can do it at my kitchen table. I can do it in my shop building. Adjustments are very easy. I once got one and I had it in a hunting gun, and it was one of those Calvin Elite triggers for Remington 700. And it was phenomenal, but it was set at like 8 ounces, which for my hunting triggers, if you're looking for a good hunting trigger, I would say 2.5 to 3.5 pounds is probably going to be your sweet spot for adjustment. 8 ounces, little bit light for my taste, so not gonna do that. So anyway, easy adjustments on them. I love it. Anyway, timneytriggers.com, you'll find your next trigger. And then Range Ready Studios. Look, we offer some carbine classes, which I absolutely love. I've taken 2 or 3 of them. But the pistol classes are really helping me out. I went on a hunt a few years ago and I took a doe with a 10 millimeter handgun. It was a Springfield Armory. It was a great gun, but I really didn't know what I was doing as far as like pressing the trigger and everything like that. It took me a little longer than I'd like to get it done. It took me 3 days and a lot of misses, because I wasn't familiar with the handgun. I thought I was doing everything right, but I just wasn't. And through learning from Chris Sereno, it really opened up my handgun shooting. And so I know that if I went back out and I was going with a revolver or with a semi-auto pistol, I know I can run that gun. And that's all built on the confidence of taking a class, taking a multiple day class. Your CCW, I'm sorry, is not a class. That is an information dump. If you really want to get some trigger time, come visit us, rangereadystudios.com. That's where you'll find more.
So what tips do you have for the guys out there that are starting to get into, like, gonna shoot their first match like me? What would be maybe your top 3 things that you would look for, or maybe if it's something that everybody does but you don't need, like maybe it's something that.
So my number one is, if you think you want to do it, but you have some apprehensions about performance or performance anxiety, or you don't want to go out and.
My wife says I've got that.
Right. Well,
I'm just kidding.
See, this actually could be good for you because, I mean, at least in this scenario, you've got 4 full minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of 2.
Thank you.
So,
I'm glad you gave me those extra 2 minutes.
But regardless, I digress.
Yeah.
The number one thing is just go out and do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very open community. You're not going to go out there. You're not going to get laughed at. You're not going to get made fun of.
I was really hoping to get some good ribbing out there. And
Well,
just like,
so the shit talking is 90% of the enjoyment that comes out of it.
Good.
But as far as being apprehensive about being out, just go out there and try one. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm going to come watch one." It's like, don't just bring your gun. If you don't have the gear, there's a loaner program.
Okay.
So Travis Ishida, the guy that runs the NRL Hunter, he's done a really good job of making it accessible.
Yeah.
So if there's something you don't have, we have a loaner program. Cool. Loophole sends a kit out to every match with range-finding binos, tripods, rifle scopes. Don't be afraid to come out because you don't have the gear.
That's cool.
People are going to let you borrow the gear. People are going to loan you the gear.
Yeah.
The number one thing is come out and try it. It's going to make you a better shooter. It's going to make you a more efficient hunter. And it's just downright fun.
And then number 2, get addicted to it. Number 3, like, buy all the gear, and then you'll find out you don't need probably half of it.
Right.
Because I brought my giant bag of bags, and I'm going through it going, I'm not going to use that one. I'm not going to use that one. Like, I mean, it's just stuff that. And I guess like doing something like this, like at K&M, and we have only 2 days to get this done.
Yeah.
Like to build off our fundamentals and understand the process and what to expect. And I assume that's kind of what we're doing because it's night 0 here, and so. Like there's probably bad habits that I've got that you guys are going to see, and it's going to go, okay, these are the 2 things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
Like fix these 2 things in between now and the beginning of June.
Yeah, for what we're doing here as far as the train up goes, getting back to those fundamentals and just making good shots, natural point of aim, focus on your crosshairs. So that's what we're going to go over here. For the matches, I'd say, number 1 being just come out and do it. Number 2 is time management, right? So you have 4 minutes to do the stage. A lot of people get wrapped up. Again, you were talking earlier about finding targets.
Right.
People get so worried about finding all those targets. Something that someone told me early on, his name is Scott Satterley. He's actually one of the guys that was part of building the NRL Hunter.
Yeah.
He's like, spend 2 minutes. You got 4 minutes to get the whole thing done. Find whatever targets you can in 2 minutes and shoot those targets, because getting points by hitting steel is way more important than maybe finding all the targets and running out of time. Right?
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
If you've got a 4 target stage and you're 2 minutes in and you only find 2 targets, build your position, hit those 2 targets, because that's going to get you points.
Do you use any special timers? Like as far as like that you have, like, because I know MDT came out with a really cool one that I need to like see if I can get them to send me one.
Yeah, their timer is pretty cool. We can't use the R word anymore, but I'm a little bit like hard retarded.
Yeah.
That word we can't say. Yeah. So what I love, I've got I can't remember what they call it, a Scientific American, what it is, but it's a talking timer.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so it actually like you feel like you're being berated by it, because you're like 2 minutes, asshole. Why haven't you found all the targets yet? Right.
I better shoot.
Yeah. So I use one of those countdown talking timers, just because it it will pull me out of my headspace.
Can you reprogram it to someone else's voice?
Wouldn't that be great if you could like set it up like Siri giving you driving directions?
Or it's like The Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, The Rock won't spend no more time shooting these targets by himself.
That's you might be there you go. There's your $1 million idea, right?
Dude, that's
These are
actually really cool.
So like Kevin's gonna actually be online like trademarking and patenting the programmable voice talking.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Just like you do on like your Google Maps or something, you could change it to some British voice. Yeah. Where she sounds very nice and sweet, and she will walk you through it. She'll walk through fire with you, or you could be like, all right, we got, Johnny Be Good over here who's just out for a good time. Like, hurry up and get it done, brother.
I want one that just like beats me down, makes me feel like brings me back to my childhood of not being able to perform.
Again.
Right? Yeah, it's like.
That would be amazing.
How far off tangent have we gotten here?
I don't know, but it's funny because everybody now is like, what's the one voice you would hate to hear yell at you, like to hurry up and finish a stage?
Right.
Like, I mean,
is this like where the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man shows up and like destroys
or
New
the
York?
Kool-Aid Man,
right?
Busts through the door. No,
oh yeah.
Because 90% of people out there are going, and I don't think my wife's going to watch this. I hope not. But it's going to be like, I don't want to hear my significant other or wife or husband like yelling at me or talking to me or telling you how to do it. That would be worse.
That would be worse.
That would be worse.
Yeah.
Mine might be Chris Sereno yelling at me, like one of our trainers.
That would actually be a pretty good one. Yeah.
It would be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen you, Chris.
Yeah.
That was KJ, not me.
It was him. But no, that would be funny. That's a great idea. Like, I love it. Or even, you can shoot with your like a AirPod in or something, can't you? If you're shooting suppressed.
Yep. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So there's also a teams event that goes along with it. So you can shoot as a 2-man team, in which you get 6 minutes to do it. So there are a lot of guys now that have gone to the comms on their hearing protection, so they can communicate that way. That is one thing, right? You don't.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah, and you don't want to be yelling so loud if you're in a team where the guys 75 yards away can hear exactly what you're saying about how far the target is or where it's at. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
There are guys that are running comms when they're
That's interesting. That's a good. So are we going to be running teams, or are we going to be running individual?
I think that's something that we can discuss. I would recommend for everybody here on their first one to run individual.
Oh, really?
No, run individual in the skills division. So again, going back to how much they try and make this welcoming and easy to get into, in the skills division, they're going to let you get a lot more instruction from the range officers. So the guys that are running the stages can help you.
Yeah.
If you're working with somebody who's more experienced or has shot more matches, they're going to be able to coach you. So they'll shoot the stage first, you'll come up, and then you can get as much coaching or as little coaching as you want. So it really does help the comfort level of going out and starting it. I would recommend, like honestly, aside from coming out and doing it, for the NRL hunter, that would probably be number 3, is shoot your first one in the skills division, even if you're already a really good competition shooter.
That's a good idea.
Just to see how the flow goes, so you can ask more questions, so you can get some help.
Well, I like that.
And with the skills, it's like, anything from you do your own pace and ask me if you want help, to I can tell you where the targets are, help you get on target, help you with your dope. So again, that's a great idea. It's one of those things that makes this particular discipline so inviting. They know the skills division is great. They really encourage families to come out and do it, right? So bring your kids out. They have a young guns class where they actually have some sponsorships where people have donated money to the NRL Hunter, so kids don't have to pay an entry fee, right? So bring your son, bring your daughter, come out as a family. It's really open and engaging. They make it so easy to come out and have fun, learn. It's all about ethics. Be a more efficient, more ethical hunter.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, John Snodgrass, Loophole. All right. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
Obviously, like he's like, I need another beer, man. Like,
I need one. I'm running empty. So no, that's awesome. I appreciate it, and that's everything that I've expected it to be. And I hope whoever's listening to this will go check out Loophole. What they're doing with their glass now is absolutely outstanding. I have it on, I mean, damn near every one of my guns. Like it's just there because I trust it. But yeah, and then check out NRL Hunter. And if you really want to tighten your skills up and really get better, K&M Shooting Complex is the place to be. Immaculate facilities, just absolutely beautiful place in Finger, Tennessee. So anyway, gun talk hunters, you know the drill. Keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.